Good morning once again, and we are glad you're still tuned to UBC TV. It's right time we look at GMU agenda in Good Morning Uganda, where we focus at an issue of national concern. This week we've dwelt so much on diaspora, and today we are looking at the role of diaspora in national development. Well, people living away from Uganda, what is their role in the development of their country? And I am with Lydia Natooro. She is the CEO of Love a Community, a resident in the US, a Ugandan resident based in the US, a student as well, and also a university leader there in the US. Lydia, welcome to the show.
Thank you, sir.
Yes.
Thank you.
Well,
Thanks
when we
for
talk
having me.
about diaspora, in your mind, how best can you define diaspora?
Diaspora is a reality of we as African born or Ugandan born children who live and migrate and go and live in other worlds, in other countries. So as for me, I'm fortunate that I live in California and I've been living there. It's coming to 20 years now. And diaspora to me, I feel like we are still linked to where we came from. It's not, we are not parting from where we were born or where we come from, but still having an opportunity to live both worlds.
You call that an opportunity. If it is an opportunity, then we want to see you people that have an extra opportunity away from those that are at home in these greener pastures. What is your role in development of your motherland?
I believe, and I'll actually put it further and say it's not just an opportunity, but it's a privilege. That we who live across the ocean, and I don't want to say that we actually have everything we want. I want to say that we at least live a better life. We at least live in a better world. That we have a mandate to not forget where we came from, to not forget those we left behind. And I argue everyone in the diaspora to not do that. That as much as we have our own journeys, me as a student, it will be easy for me to just forget because I have to work every day. And just as it is, ever since I went to America, week 2, I started working. I was still a teenager, but that is the order of the day. And that is a privilege, that's an opportunity. Because there's so many young people in this country, there's so many young people, our neighboring countries, in the developing countries, that don't have that opportunity. Even a 20-year-old, even a 30-year-old. So for me to be an 18-year-old girl, and I had that privilege to start working, I was taking care of patients. I was a little girl, but still, that was an opportunity for me to earn a living, to take care of me first, but also to send money back home and support my family, who I knew that were in a bad situation.
Well, we've seen people in diaspora more so looking at their personal interests. And today we are looking at their role in national development. Many, they'll go work and their best desire is to buy a good house in Uganda. Their best desire is to start up a business. But we are not seeing people in diaspora giving much to charity, giving much to things that are of national development, more than a personal benefit, much as they could be reflected in the development of a nation.
Right. Thanks for bringing that up, because I believe that we need to start to talk about these issues. We need to start talking about why people actually forget where they came from, why people choose not to come back, why, and why should they? Of course, I grew up in this country when we were going through wars. So I feel like some people left the country through such terrors and horrors that when they go, they're like, we are not going to come back, or I'll only take care of my family. But I also believe that there's a reality of so many people believing that that's the government's work. The government has to take care of the people. But for me, I feel like I don't know the mind I have. I feel like we should not only let the government to take care of what the government is supposed to take care of. And by the way, the government cannot take care of everything. I live in a world where even the people take a mandate to take care of their own people, to develop their own communities, that I argue our own people in the diaspora to not forget what is happening in Uganda or any country they're coming from. That we as the citizens of a country, have a part to play in developing our country, have a part to take the kids off the street, have a part to invest in our hospitals, as much as they're government hospitals. But I feel that we live in a world where there's so many opportunities that we can venture and partner with other organizations in America or in Europe, that if we tell them, that look about the situation that I had, the cancer machine, we don't even have one in Mulago Hospital. Why can't we, people in the diaspora, try to venture and find other companies in America or in Europe and bring a cancer machine so that we can take care of our own family members? Because, by the way, it's our people who go to these hospitals. So I believe that we also have that part to play, as much as the government also has to rebuild its own country.
What are some of the channels or avenues that, in your opinion, you think you can go through? Because it's different to be in America, to be in diaspora, and you have money, but how do you take step one to step two to step B, more so in a country where even sending money to your relatives to construct a house for you, you come home and there's literally nothing for you to see?
That is such, so many people have scars to that story, whereby people in the diaspora, and I also need to talk about this, a lot of people who are not in the diaspora think that everybody in the diaspora is doing well, which is actually the opposite most of the time. People are suffering. You also know the reality of the new governance right now. So many people cannot come back home, by the way, because they don't even have travel documents. We are talking about people working every day. They don't have a Sunday, they don't have a Saturday, they never have a vacation. They work every day, they toil. And every penny they get actually goes back into the country to pay the bills or send back here home to take care of their own families. But there's also reality when people send money so that they can build their own houses, and when they get an opportunity to come back, nothing is there to show. So there's that brokenness too. There's that loss of trust, for people in the diaspora. But I also believe that there's some who are privileged that they've been working for almost 40 years, they've been working for almost 30 years. Like as for me, I'm in a university that every door I knock on, now there's an opportunity. People look at the work I've done in my country and they're like, how can I help? I've learned that we need to actually knock at doors, we need to seek for opportunities, we need to ask. That no one will know what you want until you ask them. And I think that is one of the things that I've found to be true. I read in the newspaper that there was a hospital in my own country that was operating for 3 years without water. So what I did was to use my little savings, which I had, I bought a ticket, I came home, because I wanted to see firsthand. I read the story, and sometimes you read stories, you're like, is this really true? How can a hospital operate for 3 years without water? So for me, what I chose is to come back home and see firsthand and knock at doors and ask questions. Ended up in Kumi. I had never been in Kumi. I was born right here by the Kasubi Tombs, opposite Mapera. That's my home. I don't even speak the language. I don't even speak the dialect of my own brothers and sisters in Kumi. So I had an opportunity to talk to the doctor. There was one doctor. 600 patients show up every day in a hospital. The hospital serves almost 250,000 people. There was no water. Sometimes there's no electricity. So that means if a patient is going through surgery, there was no backup generator, a patient dies. If a mother is going through a C-section, that's the end of her story. They deliver babies by a phone light. A nurse told me that sometimes she has like 4 to 6 mothers giving birth, and she has only 2 hands to do that. So many children die through this process. Our own people are dying unnecessarily. And then we were there for almost 4 days. And then I kept on watching and noticing that some patients were not even eating. So for me to witness that, I left when I was a little girl. But of course, I grew up, we didn't have much home. We walked to school, we walked to fetch water. I knew that was the reality of everyone in Uganda, most of the people in Uganda.
Also in that area, Kumi.
Right, no, but I grew up here in Kampala. But for me to go witness what was happening in Kumi, I saw a different kind of poverty, that theirs was actually worse.
Absolutely.
And so I realized the privilege I have, and especially living in America, that I can easily turn on the tap and the water is there, that I have an opportunity to go to school. It's not like I had it easy. I have a scholarship to finish my bachelor's, which I'm going to be graduating in June with my bachelor's in biology and minor in political science. I knew I worked hard for that, but at least there's an opportunity to get a scholarship for me to actually achieve my dream, because ever since I was a little girl, I wanted to be a doctor, because I witnessed my siblings dying to AIDS and other diseases. And that is where, when I went back home, even though I didn't have a lot of money, I started knocking at doors. I started seeking for help. I started reaching out to other organizations. That now we have a new water system that actually not my money made that happen, but another organization saw the work I'm doing, and we partnered together. So now we have a new water system for 2 years, and mortality rate has gone down by 75% in Natooro Hospital. We've put in solar panels. I've held 3 fundraisers in a community I live in. I'm so privileged to have great friends who have rallied alongside this story, and they've given everything. They've given. As much as I used my own money at the beginning, now I have a privilege to see that I just reach out. I just organize another fundraiser. So your question of how can people do this, how do they do it? I believe that us in the diaspora, we, the children of Pearl of Africa in the diaspora, we have a mandate to do whatever we have to do to be the voice of those we left behind.
How is government coming in to help people in diaspora if they want to give a hand? Because it's different for you wanting to give a hand and the channel to go through. Sometimes people say policies are not friendly, you know, government is not welcoming us. As a person who lives in diaspora and has tried some work here, how conducive is our environment as far as you participating in development?
That's such a great question, because when I came, for some reason, I knew that me as Lydia, I won't be able to do the work well. It actually will not be sustainable. But rather, I realized that I need to reach out to government leaders. I need to reach out to the local leaders in the communities we're working in, and that's the only way forward for sustainability. So I came, and just like I told you, I knocked at the doors of one of our leaders. By then, he was Honorable Dr. Rugonda, who was the Minister of Health, because I was looking into the sector of health. I was looking at the hospital in Natooro, a hospital without water. So I knocked at the door of Dr. Rugonda, and he was welcoming. He welcomed me. We had a conversation. We were working on, for me, the idea was, since the hospital did not have medical equipment, I'm willing to go and search for them and look for them. And as we speak right now, there's a container in a process, a container for medical equipment that is coming. So the reason for my visit that time was to have the government take care of that revenue, take care of the taxes when I bring the container, because that is actually their part to play. Because I don't want as Lydia to pay revenue. Instead of, I would have used that money to do another project. I would have used that money to put children in school or buy medicine or something else. So I believe even, I can't speak for other people, but I know many people have been broken when it comes to partnering with government leaders or other people in the country. But I still believe there's always another opportunity. You know, you shouldn't just knock at the door just once and end there. I believe that we should always seek out and look for other leaders who are willing to work and partner with us. And that's the only way. That's the only way for sustainability and making sure that we're actually doing the right job and going through the right channels.
Lydia, one of the things that we've seen people in diaspora engage in is they come, they give aid, but they don't look at the sustainability of these projects, which calls for involving the leadership, most of the communities. And at the end of that, it seems a one-off. Today you're going to provide beddings, and after 3 years it's gone to the dogs. Today you're going to provide solar panels, and when they break down, there is no way they can repair these solar panels. You're going to avail water, safe water in a hospital, and after 6 months, you find the entire system down. So at the end of the day, the role of people in diaspora towards development will not be seen vividly. So how should we handle continuity?
That's a great question. And again, when we started our nonprofit, which is actually called Love a Community, you see the word community there. I knew for a fact that the way out, the only way to development, the only way to sustainability is to partner with the local leaders first. It has to be from the grassroots up. Because sometimes we think that we know everything. As much as I live in America, I don't know everything that I have to bring back here in Uganda, because I haven't even lived here for 20 years. So what I did was to go in the community. The first day, I had a meeting with the local leaders. The chairman was there, RDC was there, the district health officer was there, the leaders in the hospital, the hospital administrator was there. And the question for me I pose is like, what can I do? What is the priority? What do you want me to do? I have a 6-minute documentary that maybe I'll send out, and you could air it and see the work we've done. But one of the things that the hospital administrator and the community ranked was water, which is actually why I came. They said, we want water, we need medical equipment, we need electricity. And so far we've been able to put in water. We've been able to bring solar panels, because we need green infrastructure. And then also with the issue of the food, when I noticed that patients were not eating, I asked the community leaders, I was like, you have to bring something on the table too. For so many reasons, so many people think just because I don't have money, I can't do anything. Whenever you talk about charity, people think you should have so much money. People tell me, Lydia, you should be rich. I think you're so rich because you're spending money. I'm like, actually, I'm not. But time, sometimes even using your time, sometimes even land. Many people have acres and acres of land, bare. Nothing is on that land. So the question I posed, I'm like, we need a garden, but we don't have land. Me as Lydia, I don't have land in Kumi. I asked who has land, and as we speak right now, we have 5 acres of land where we've been able to start our farming project. And actually, end of this month, we are going to start to have our first harvest, where we'll be able to feed our patients on a regular basis. So for me, I believe that the way towards sustainability is for anyone in the diaspora, when we come back home, do not just buy what you think that the people need, but rather sit down with the community people, sit down with the community leaders and ask, what can I do? What do you want me to support you through? But also, they have to be part of the story. It's not just giving a hand out, but a hand up. They have to be part of the story. They have also to bring something on the table. And that is what we've been able to do with Love a Community.
Lydia, you're a drop in the ocean, and many of you that are doing such work, people in the diaspora, when we see your delegation come, your contingent, the number of people, we see the white man. You know,
Yes.
a Lydia from somewhere reads a story, picks up the attention, but as she's trying to aid Uganda, to help her motherland, we see majority of the people on that team are whites. What is hindering many Ugandans in diaspora from having the heart you have, joining such, because they were calling upon them to come home, not for interests of personal interests, but for national development that include charity among others?
I can only speak for myself.
Because if I'm to look at your team, I don't know them, but I bet you have Ugandans, you have about 50% Ugandans. Many you're going to talk about are university students in California that are whites, you know, feeling for Uganda. Yet in that university, there could be very many Ugandans. And some are doing better than you're doing, but they will not join the call to save their motherland.
I think it's about time that we started to have this conversation. And thank you for posing that question. But I also believe that there's so many Ugandans who are doing great work, but they will not come in the limelight and start screaming that, hey, look at me, I'm doing this work. I've been coming home for the last 3 years, but I've never gone on TV. I've never knocked at a door and say, hey, I want to talk about the work I'm doing, because I believe I'm not doing it for show, but rather I just want to help my people. I know a few Ugandans who are doing the same. I have a dear friend who actually left. She left Boston, packed everything, and came back to help children. We were working together. We were rallying, actually, we were rallying leaders in Uganda, in America. But then it was during the rebel leader, Joseph Kony, children being abducted, young girls being raped, children given guns to be child soldiers. We went as far as Capitol Hill. We were in Congress lobbying. And we were able actually to pass a bill, the first African bill to be talked about in the Congress. And to me, witnessing that, but on the other end, there were thousands of these young Americans. And I kept on asking, where are our Ugandans? Where are we? We were there, but we are not enough. And I know we are thousands of Ugandans too in the diaspora. And I always ask that question. I'm always like, why are we not coming back? But still, I cannot speak for everyone. But what I can do is to speak for myself. But
what is your message to them?
My message,
as you wind up.
My message, it's just a call to action for all our Ugandans in the diaspora, or anyone coming from a developing country, or anyone coming from Africa. Please wake up. Our people are dying. Please wake up. There are children on the street. There are children who are not in school. There are patients in the hospital who are dying unnecessarily. 80% of the people who die in hospitals are dying due to preventable diseases. There are no medical equipment to actually diagnose the diseases they have. And I know we live in a better world, we live in a better atmosphere, we live in a better community, that we can actually start doing the work, we as the daughters and the sons and, of the Pearl of Africa. Please let us wake up and partner with our leaders. It's never too late to do the right thing. Let us not leave the work to the government, because the government can actually not do everything. But let us be part of the development of our beautiful nation, Uganda. Again, it's never too late to do the right thing. Let us join hands and save our country.
Well, it's been a pleasure having you on the show as you call for them. And I also want to urge many that we see come here during Christmas time, splash money, throw money around, you know, they do nothing developmental, have parties. One night, a person in diaspora spends 500 million just for booze and being in the media, showbiz. Can we divert those resources to something of national development? For God and my country, up next is Business Today. God bless Uganda.